It's tea time, positive tea time, and we are spilling all of it right here in this space created by two crazy, fun-loving besties. It's a no-judgment zone for sharing stories of hope, faith, love, growth, and most of all, grace and gratitude. So join us as we get ready to share some positivity and get a fresh perspective on life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Spilling Positivity. And this one is always super special. Every episode is, but this one is super, super special as we have two amazing people. We have Lasonta and Trotty. Anthony, you can choose which name you want to take him through with.
We know him as Trotty.
You know, yeah. Anthony and Lasonta, welcome to Spilling Positivity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And Natasha, tell us who's our sponsor for today.
Okay, so our sponsor is Lipton, and they've been around since the 1800s, and they have not stopped doing great things. Lipton, thank you for sponsoring Spilling Positivity. And today, you know Yellow Label, right?
Yes,
They're
everybody knows
standard.
that.
Everybody
Grandmother
knows that.
had that one.
Hello. But we have green tea mint from Lipton. Let me tell you, if you like green tea and you like mint tea, the combination is fantastic. So
Yeah.
thanks, Lipton.
Thank you. I'm drinking that and it's very nice.
It's amazing.
So let's get into this conversation.
Yes. Tell us about yourselves.
Well, my name is Lasonta. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a banker by profession, and I love to dance. I love dancing.
Nice, nice.
I'm a very social person and positive, very positive attitude.
I
You're on
would
the
love
right
that.
show.
You are where you belong.
Exactly.
And Shorty, what about you? Tell us about you.
Oh, my name is Anthony Trotman. I am a father of 4. Proud Commonwealthian, up and on.
Up and on.
Okay.
Yes, know how to get that in there.
Yes.
A hockey player, former national hockey player, current under 21 men's coach.
Oh, good.
And this is my partner for the last 18 years. So I do as I'm told, as any good man does.
Absolutely.
So that should tell you a bit about me too as well.
So her positivity spills over to you.
It has no choice but to.
I love that. I love that.
Love that.
Yeah.
My
So Lasonta and Tony, you're here to talk about something very special and so important. Let's get into the conversation. Tell us a little bit about your family.
We're like any other normal family. We have routines, homework, social activities, swimming, karate, you name it. But as we are here because of Alex, we had a special needs child some 13 years ago. And the journey of that has been extremely eye-opening. I got to say it. I'd be a liar not to say that. I had no idea what the community was like until I actually got into it. And then when we got into it, then the myriad of things that came from that was definitely something that, it was thankful that I had a partner like Lasonta to share that journey with, because it certainly wasn't easy, but we went through it together and we step by step, and we learned, and we also learned from other people. So, as a family unit, we learned a lot from the journey of Alex, and by extension, our extended family, aunts, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, all people played a role, significant role.
Major support system.
Yeah.
What was the challenge that Alex had? What was his disability?
Alex had a condition called agenesis of the corpus callosum. That is where there's no tissue that connects the left to the right hemispheres of the brain. So as a result of that, he had developmental delays, and developmental delays in all areas. So that's global developmental delays. So he can walk, he can talk, he can hold himself up, anything like that. So he was totally self-dependent on us. We got his diagnosis when he was just weeks old.
6 weeks.
And that presented to us in a form of a seizure. So that's how we first realized that something was wrong And then they ruled out, we took him to the hospital as usual, but when they ruled out that the seizures were not from like infection or any other sickness, we had to do a CAT scan. And the CAT scan revealed the agenesis of the corpus callosum. At the time that we received the diagnosis, the neurologist at the time couldn't tell us, they couldn't tell us how he would develop, how he would grow, anything like that. So there was basically no information. So imagine being a parent to a newborn baby that is having seizures, and then you get this diagnosis, and then you're out there with, you're not sure what's going to happen next, because the only thing that could be done at the time was the treatment of try to control the seizures that he was having, and he was having quite a number of seizures at the time. So that was very traumatic. Because you have this little baby, and these seizures were kind of like violent seizures, shaking, the noise and stuff. But
Truth be told, they weren't. If I can clear up something,
go ahead.
they weren't actually seizures. They were presented like seizures. I should point them out. They were grand mal. I'm pretty sure I messed up that name.
I gotta cut that.
Tonic tension of the muscles. So they present
Like
very,
seizures.
very much like seizures.
His muscles was tightening up.
Tighten up. It would tighten up and it would spasm.
Spasm a lot.
Exactly like how you would for a seizure. But when we did a number of tests, and we actually ruled out that there were seizures.
That was quite a debate too.
Right. Among many doctors, but then
This is a very rare.
it's rare here, but I must tell you that there are a number of people who have a genesis of the corpus callosum walking about in Barbados. Because the thing about a genesis, and the funny thing about it, is you can have partial or full.
Okay.
So if you have partial, it might present itself as somebody who's uncoordinated.
Right.
You always tell yourself, well, he seemed clumsy,
Yes.
or he can't seem to get he left and he right
To
time
get-
properly.
yeah.
That usually is a situation where somebody may have had partial.
Okay.
But you can be normal, and I use the word normal in inverted commas.
Right.
You can walk, you can talk, but
Some.
part of that might not have been connected, and some part might. So that's just how it goes.
Right. So following on from Tony, everybody don't have the same
Present the
challenges.
same.
Because we had known of another child at the time who had kind of the same diagnosis, but she would walk.
She could walk.
Right, but Alex couldn't. So it depends on the degree
Yeah.
of the condition.
And to add to her, I'll tell you probably a little later on when you think about how unique Alex was, even with the condition, because to
Tell
her.
us about Alex. Tell us
Yeah,
about
we're
Alex.
telling about Alex.
Well,
Yes.
okay, well,
Yeah.
to back to Lasonta's point, when we found out, I had a little bit more different, to use the term positive term outlook.
He did. He certainly did.
I'll be honest, man. The neurologist said he came in and he was very unsure of what to say. He's like, I said, Doc, tell it to me straight. My son getting dead? He said, no, but I am quite sure how he can develop. I said, oh, that's all? I said, oh, not a problem. You can deal with that.
So here I am.
I said, as long as if you tell me my son getting dead, we would have had a problem. I said, but as long as you tell me he can live, anything else I could deal with.
Wow.
So
Right. So while I'm there
so
praying,
so she's bawling her eyes like,
and he was
and
like,
I'm like, but we good.
he came in, he was like, babes, don't think I'm insensitive. But I asked for a son, and
I
the
got a
Lord
son.
gave me a son, and he's not going to die, so I'm good.
Wow.
And I'm like,
And she was so I said, yeah, I was trying to because
Right.
as a mother, I could understand how sometimes you might have felt you failed
Yeah.
in
As
that
a-
thing. You know, you
and
didn't.
that too is very important, because I started to question myself. I was like, why me? How did this happen? I took all of my medication.
Medications.
I did all of my vitamins, and still my
had a
baby
child.
had
Yeah.
a problem, and he was born to time, 40 weeks to
On
almost day
on
on Father's
Father's
Day,
Day.
Wow.
and
On Father's Day.
healthy weight
Yep.
and everything, and I can figure out why. So for I can understand too why parents
Yes.
um go into like a mental state. And I was grateful for Tony saying that, because by him saying that, I knew right there and then that I had the support, that he's going to be there, he's going to support, right?
Yes.
Because he's basically telling me, I got this, I got what I prayed for, he has the challenges, but we can work through it. That's what I got from
Yeah.
that one
That's
simple
amazing.
sing. And from there, then the journey started, because, as Tony said before, we always hear about children with special needs, people with disabilities, but you don't fully know it until you
Until
are
you go
thrown into that world.
And you're thrown in. You were
And,
thrown in.
and
I mean,
you're
we
thrown
were
in unexpectedly and with no knowledge or education about what you
And
are going to
to
face.
face.
Right.
So then you had to draw on others. So you start your journey by picking the we had a lovely pediatrician, by the way, Dr. Lashley,
Shout out to Dr. Lashley,
who brought us through this entire
went through
journey.
this all the way to the end.
And Dr. Campbell as well, Dr. Jennings. So the journey started. It started obviously with the pediatrician and giving us some information. And she began by telling us, you have to go to the Children Development Center, which is the AC Graham
Yes.
Center now. So you start there. You start to look for your therapist, and you pick along. And you start and you go in. So you're in, you can't come back out. What also helped was the parents that were before us.
Wow.
Wow.
The support system there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, we started to draw on those parents that were already in the community.
So no sir, I call her name because she is
So what name was it?
no sir.
No, sir.
sir.
Yeah, I won't bother call her last name because I will mess it up. But the reason I shout out her is that when we put Alex into Sunshine Early Stimulation Center at the time, and she was one of the parents that we met,
Yes.
and her guidance with what she went through with her son,
Right.
helping us through this journey. And then you realize you're not alone. And then you realize the amount of resources that are available. The little things you didn't think about, or you didn't, or no one told you about.
Like what? Give us something that we wouldn't even consider.
Okay, so for instance, with Alex, global developmental delays, he needed quite a lot of therapy. So when I said our journey started at the CDC, you had to go there to start the therapy. The government gives you, one therapy session a week? Because he's a baby, so the babies get a little bit more time,
Okay.
So you had one or two.
one or two,
I think it was
probably
went twice a week
2 days a week.
at the time.
Right, because one was probably physical, and then she put in a little occupational therapy because he had to learn how to move and how to do.
As a baby.
Yeah, because
Yeah, you have to
babies
start-
go
What sort of-
developmental delay. So, sorry, babies, you have to learn to creep,
Yes.
you have to learn to crawl,
Yeah. How to
Right.
touch things.
How
and-
to-
Yeah.
and all of that. He had to.
So
You
what
had
age
to
was
learn.
that? How old was
that
he?
we started CDC. We started
Like
CDC.
3 months, 4 months,
Could have been, it could have been, maybe, maybe,
or a little later.
or maybe a little later, maybe
Okay.
like 5, 6, but definitely at a point where,
What we left out though is that Alex traveled after we got that diagnosis, and we couldn't get as much information as we wanted here because at the time the neurologist was like, the condition is rare, they don't have a lot of resources. Actually, he was asking us for video to send to a colleague in Jamaica to then come back and tell us. So then we use our resources then, and we travel overseas to New York Presbyterian, which is the Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital, and we tried to seek more information from there and got a little bit more treatment from there before we came back here. So when we came back here, then is when we started to have the therapy sessions at the AC Graham Center, because that's where we needed to start. And then after we started, that's when we realized some of the issues then that we probably were going to face limited therapists.
Yes.
Because for a parent that can afford a therapy session privately, although you can afford it, you might be able to afford it, there's still not much therapists
So you get an
deal
appointment.
with pediatric
It's-
kids and kids with disabilities. So yes, where you may have a lot of physical therapists in Barbados,
Yes, yes.
there's not much that specialize in dealing with kids, because as I was pointing out before, kids have to learn. You have to try to teach this child how to creep, how to, the things that we see normal babies doing, rocking back and forth,
Okay.
preparing themselves to move off. We see it all the time doing planks.
Yes,
You see
yes,
them
yes.
planking, getting that core ready to all that. You had to assist him
Right.
in doing and to help develop, because as I said before, we don't know where the development would have gone. So therefore you have to start putting in those building blocks, and you have to put them in kind of like manually, because he's not going to do it purposely on his own. So that's where we had the problem finding therapists, and the therapists that you found are full. Because you realize that there are lots of kids with different diagnoses that need therapies. Kids with the cerebral palsy, kids like Alex, kids with Down syndrome, different children you need to. So then you find a therapist that have lots of patients, and you're still down to that one therapy session a week.
You may want to have 3 or 4, but you can only get in for one.
Get into one.
Yeah.
And then, so you're taking the government therapy, and as that child gets older, the therapy then, you see less because you're getting older.
Right.
You get it older.
You're getting older, and they need to focus on probably the
Smaller ones.
I know.
these
I know.
smaller ones.
I know that the program is positive, but it'd be remiss of us not to speak about, as you said, some of the issues and the challenges that you face. A lack of resources is significant one, and by resources, as she said, therapists, but not only therapists, centers, the infrastructure, equipment that may be needed, chairs, wheelchairs, treadmill.
Treadmill.
Now you would think treadmill is for gyms. They got plenty of treadmill in Barbados. But when a child can't walk, one of the best things to help it is to put it on a treadmill and, use the treadmill, and use the feet and bring it along. As Lasonta was saying, in our journey, we, through parents, NOSA in particular, as I mentioned earlier, she hooked us up with a therapy center that was in America, Miami. And we took Alex there. And from then, and I could tell anyone, I saw my son walk. Because we went for what is called a week of intensive therapy.
3 weeks of intense therapy,
And
which is
intense
like
therapy
it's like 6-7 hours a day.
day,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
How old was he?
At that time, he would have been a
Like
year.
one, yeah,
Okay.
Right? Would have been a year.
yeah. So it's intense for 3 weeks. Both
Yeah.
you get physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy.
Now, speech was more not how to speak, but more
Swallowing.
techniques and how to chew and everything.
Textures, yes, because all of that he had to learn
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
What we
Yeah.
take
So,
for
We
granted.
take for granted.
well,
Correct.
yeah. The truth is that when I think I told Lasonta this only the other day. What we learned, and now I can see a child, and I can see him doing or her doing little things. I can tell they're hitting developmental marks because
Right.
I had to
Okay.
be immersed in that
Exactly.
world of learning what's a child supposed to hit at this age. He's supposed to be doing this. Okay, I can see that. Okay, well that's not a problem. A parent might be worrying, oh, he's not walking yet, or she's not walking yet, or talking. I'm like, no, she all right.
Right.
Everybody talks at different times.
You
but
became in tune with all of that.
Yeah.
it
And then
became
you-
so in tune that I knew I could have been a neurologist. I could have been a gastroenterologist.
Wow.
I could have been a
Occupational therapist.
occupational therapist, a
Yeah.
physical therapist.
Yes, because you have to
had
learn. You had to learn
every part.
because when the child goes home,
Right.
That's
these are
on you.
things that you have to
do.
reinforce. And because of the lack too of resources, you sit there and you video, and the therapists too, they're all of them were very nice that we had encountered. They
This is my-
showed you what to do.
Yes, at home.
And you come home and you do it. The therapist here did the same thing as well.
And we shared the video with them.
Yes.
And they followed up suit. So it was a collaborative.
And
effort.
anybody that we came into contact with, we share
Sure.
again, because that's how you feed in information. You come back and you said what you experienced, where you went, you give all of that information. And I can say too that I have to shout out some of the charities, because the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust was able to assist us with having him to go to Miami to get that intense therapy session.
Because it's $20,000.
Wow.
Let me put a figure out there. Let me just say.
20,000
Reality
US.
of it all.
No, it's 20,000 Belgian.
Right.
But it's a lot of money, regardless of whatever your financial
Financial
situation
situation.
is. It's a lot of money. And that's just for the therapy. That had nothing to do with
Accommodations
the
and-
accommodation and airfare and then food, because obviously you're living in a hotel.
Which brings me to another point, the expense of having a child with disabilities. And this is very important because you find that some parents don't work
Yes.
when they have a child with a disability because, one, it could be they don't have that family unit. Two, some employers are sometimes unforgiving.
Yes.
And I can tell you, some mornings I got up with the best intentions. And I'm like, everything is going right this morning. We got up, we got ready, breakfast was had. And then Alex would be like, you know what, mommy? I just got to throw up here. And that throw off the whole morning. What happens now? I got a call, work, and say, well, I'm going to be late.
Yes.
I was able to do that with the organization that I work with. A lot of parents can't do that, or they're dismissed because of attendance or coming in late. And then there's that expense, so that you need to work to
To be able to sustain.
sustain these.
All
Some of
these
these kids have special diets,
Yes.
and some of these kids need equipment. I mean, being a parent of a special needs child, you have to improvise and be like your own MacGyver sometimes, because the child might need a piece of equipment, but that equipment is very expensive. So you got to find something home to improvise. You might be looking for a particular spoon for the child to hold, because everybody's disability is different.
Different. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you will find you can't find a spoon with a bigger handle, because a lot of places will tell you that, these things are in minority. A lot of people don't buy these things, so they're not going
they're
to
not gonna
bring
bring it
them.
in.
Yeah.
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 But for you that need that special spoon, for instance, what you can do, you gotta get that spoon, get some masculine tape,
Yes.
Figure it out.
wrap it to bring it thick, so that you could
You can hold.
things like you have to use things like styrofoam, Velcro,
Yeah. A lot of different.
a lot of different
things,
things
yeah.
to make your child comfortable. Because one, you might not be able to afford it, it's not available, but the child still have to live. I spoke to someone this morning who pointed out to me, make sure that tell the merchants to bring size 7 Pampers.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
that's important. Size 7 Pampers
Size 7 Pampers.
are needed, guys.
Because in a normal, when you're raising your normal child, they tend to be out of Pampers by 3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bring sizes to fit them. But for a special needs child, Alex wore Pampers until he died, and he was 13.
Yeah.
Right.
But you get that in between stage where a Huggies ain't gonna fit, but the small in adult Pampers gonna pick you up in the neck.
Oh wow. Wow. So you need size 7 is spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And then the pull-up, sometimes you have to use like a pull-up which are very expensive, and they don't hold
Yeah, yeah.
as much. So simple things, there's some simple low-hanging fruits that I feel like we can do to help parents. The employers could be sometimes more accommodating. The store owners sometimes can bring, it might not sell fast, but somebody might need it because you don't know what the challenge might be.
Ooh, some good tea was spilled today. Tune in next week for part 2.